Welcome to this video on solving system word problems. By the end of this video, you should be able to write a system of equations based on a real-world scenario. You should be able to determine what the variables x and y represent in the equation, and you should be able to decide which method of solving is best based on how the equations are set up. So as we set up our problems, there's three things that we want to keep in mind. We want to define our variables. We want to set up our equations and solve, and then we need to identify the answer. So this is translating sentences into equations, which we have done previously, but now instead of just one equation, we need to write two equations for our system. So let's take a look at number one. So we have the sum of two numbers is 30, and their difference is 12. Find the two numbers. So the first thing we always have to do is define our variables. So we're going to use x and y. This is so at the end of the problem we know which number represents which part of the question. So we have two numbers. I'm going to say x is the first number and that y is the second number. Okay. All right. So when we start to translate, we got to look for these words, these key words. Sum means add, and difference means subtract. The word is an equals. All right, so we have the sum of two numbers is 30. So if I take the first number plus the second number, it's going to equal 30. And their difference is 12. So if I take the first number minus the second number, their difference is 12. Now usually elimination is the best way to set these up. X and y are on the same side, and that's the easiest one to kind of go with here. So I actually have direct opposites from each other. These two will cancel. 1y minus 1y is 0. So we don't have to make opposites. The sign in front of this x is a plus. So follow the signs as we go down. X plus x is 2x. Y minus y is 0. It canceled to 0. And you have 30. The sign in front of 12, there isn't one, so it's a plus. 30 plus 12 is 42. And we're just going to finish solving for x. Divide both sides by 2. X is 21. So we know one of the numbers. One of the numbers is 21. Now how do we find the other number? Well, we may be able to look at 21 and go, well, that I need to get to 30, so I can probably in my head figure out the other number. But officially, if you were checking, if they had a more complicated problems, you'd plug in the x that we know plus the y equals 30. And so when we solve this, our second number is going to be 9. So 21 and 9 are our two numbers. All right, let's try this again. I might get you started, but then I want you to finish it. So now we have the sum of two numbers is 24, and their difference is 2. What are the two numbers? It's really the same problem. So we have our two variables, x and y. X is the first number. Y is the second number. Okay. Now, the sum of two numbers, we're summing them. If you take the first number plus the second number, it's going to equal 24. And then it just says their difference. So the first number minus the second number is 2. It's really the same problem. We have opposites built right in, right there. We don't have to create opposites. That's nice. These are going to cancel out to 0. X plus x is 2x. 24 plus 2 is 26. So we're going to get for our x value 13. So 13 plus what is going to give me the 24. So that's really what you're saying. 13 plus some number y equals 24. So my y is going to equal 11. So my answer is 13 and 11 are my two numbers. All right, so those were a little on the simpler side. Sometimes they get a little more complicated. Let's take a look at number 5 here. So number 5, we have the sum of two numbers is 20. Well, that sounds like what we were doing already. But it goes on to say the difference between 3 times the first number and twice the second number is 40. Find the two numbers. This is why we need to know which number is which. because different things are happening here. So we have, I'm going to still say x is the first number and y is still the second number. Okay, so the sum of the two numbers is 20. Great, we've been doing that. X plus y equals 20. Then the difference between 3 times the first. So the first one is x. So 3 times the first, and it said difference, twice the second. Remember, twice means 2. Twice the second is 40. There we go. Now we have our two equations, and we're going to need to solve this system. I do not have any opposites. X is not opposite of 3x, y is not opposite 2y, negative 2y. But if I multiply the entire top equation by a positive 2, I'll have a positive 2y here, which will be opposite the negative 2y. So let's go ahead and do that. We want to be sure we multiply all the way through the entire equation. 2 times x is 2x, 2 times y is positive 2y, and 2 times 20 is positive 40. So I'm going to use this blue equation and this red equation. Now that I've created an equivalent equation from the top one, I have 3x plus 2x, which is 5x. Negative 2y plus 2y cancels to 0. And that's going to equal 40 plus 40, which is 80. We're going to solve for x, and I get x equals 16. So that means the first number is 16. Now I need to know the second number. It's not as easy as the other ones because the equation was a little more complicated, but we can still use the simpler top equation. We know x is 16, so where x is, I'm going to write 16 plus y equals 20. Well, now I bet you can do that in your head. We're going to subtract that 16, and y equals 4. So my two numbers are 16 and 4. All right, so there's several others of those that you can work on your own, but let's start looking at a little bit more complicated of a problem. It's the same idea. You're translating out of equations into out of sentences into equations. So now our scenario is the cost of 3 boxes of envelopes and 4 boxes of notebook paper is $13.25. 2 boxes of envelopes and 6 boxes of notebook paper cost $17. Find the cost of each. So once we start having these kinds of problems, you still want to define your variables. But what are the things this problem is talking about? It's talking about envelopes and boxes of paper. So I usually just write them in the order in which they come. So envelopes was written first. I'm going to say X is envelopes. You could swap these and it wouldn't matter. You'll still get the correct answer. And I'm going to say Y is paper. That way when I get to the end of my problem and I get X equals a number and Y equals a number, I know what they represent. So let's take a look. We have 3 boxes of envelopes and 4 boxes of notebook paper is a number. It is $13.25. So there's actually your equation right there. We said boxes of envelopes are X, so 3 boxes of envelopes plus 4 boxes of paper is going to equal $13.25. All right, then the next sentence says 2 boxes of envelopes. So 2 envelopes plus 6 papers equals $17. All right, so there is our system. You want to look for opposites. I am not seeing opposites straight off. That means we're going to have to create some using multiplication. So there's a couple different ways we can handle this. I usually go with the smaller numbers. We can either eliminate the x's or we can eliminate the y's. The x's have the smaller numbers in front of it, so I'm just going to pick that. It doesn't really matter. But I really notice they are both positive numbers. They don't have, neither one of them have a negative sign in front of them. For them to be opposite, one of them must be negative. So that means one of the numbers I choose to multiply by is got to be negative. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2, the bottom by 3, and I'm going to go ahead and make the 2 negative. I could have made the 3 negative, it doesn't matter. So let's write our equivalent equations so we can use elimination. So we have negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. We have negative 2 times 4y is negative 8y. And then we have negative 2 times 1325, which is going to be negative 2650. So we just wrote the equivalent equation for one of them, but we've got to do both of them, so we'll have our opposites. So we have 3 times 2x, which is positive 6x. There's that opposite we were hoping for. 3 times 6y is positive 18y. And 3 times 17 is 51. Since we're talking about money, I'll go ahead and write my 51 as money to keep everything lined up. All right, now that we've created our opposites, we have negative 6x plus 6x is 0. That cancels out. Negative 8y plus 18y is 10y. Negative 2650 plus 51 is 2450. When I divide both sides by 10, I get y equals 2.45. So what that means is paper costs $2.45. Good. Now, to get the cost of the envelopes, we're going to take the paper cost and we're going to plug it into one of these two equations. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to use the top one. So I have 3x plus 4 times y. Well, y we know now is $2.45 equals $13.25. We're going to start to simplify. 3x equals 3x plus 980 equals 1325. Subtract the 980 from both sides. 3x equals $3.45. We're almost there, just got to solve for that final x. And x equals $1.15. And what that means is envelopes cost $1.15. All right, let's try a few more different kinds on the back. All right, here's our new scenario. We have the cost of 12 oranges and 7 apples, and it's $5.36. Then we also know that 8 oranges and 5 apples cost $3.68. Find the cost of each. Okay, so the things that we're talking about, so we can define our variables. We have oranges and apples. So I'm going to say X is oranges and Y is apples. So we got a sentence here. The cost of 12 oranges and 7 apples is $5.36. So 12 oranges plus 7 apples equals $5.36. All right, pause the video, see if you can write the second equation, and come back when you're done. All right, let's see how you did. This one says 8 oranges, so 8 oranges, because X is oranges, plus 5 apples is $3.68. All right, I'm looking for opposites. I don't see any. So I need to eliminate either the X's or the Y's. The Y's have some smaller numbers on them, so it might be a little easier to work with. I notice that they both have positive signs. That means when I multiply, one of my numbers is going to have to be negative. So I'm going to say negative 5 on top, and that's 7 comes down to multiply down here. That will give us our least common multiple, or a common multiple that can make us eliminate quickly. Okay, so distribute all the way through. Negative 5 times 12x is negative 60x. Negative 5 times 7y is negative 35y. And negative 5 times 5.36 is negative 2680. All right, same on the bottom. We have 7 times 8x, so I get 56x. 7 times 5y is a positive 35y. There's that opposite that we were looking for. And 7 times 368 is $25.76. We've created our opposite, so we're going to eliminate. There's no sign in front of the 56, so that's a plus. Negative 60 plus 56 is negative 4x. The y's eliminated out to 0. Negative 4x is equal to negative 2680 plus 2576, so negative 1.04. Solve for x, and my x is going to equal 0.26. So this means the x is oranges. Oranges cost 26 cents. Okay, let's find out the price of apples. Pick either equation. It doesn't matter which. I'm going to pick the bottom one. 8x, well, x is 0.26 plus 5y equals 3.68. We're going to start to simplify, and 8 times 0.26 is 2.08 plus 5y equals 3.68. Let's keep working towards that variable. We get 5y equals 1.60, and y equals 0.32. So that means apples cost 32 cents. All right, good. Let's get a couple more set up and we can do some solving in class. So from here, I'm not going to solve anymore. I'm just going to help you get set up. All right, number 11. A garden supply store sells 2 types of lawnmowers. The smaller mower costs $249.99 and the larger mower costs $329.99. If 30 total mowers were sold and the total sales for a given year was $8,379.70, find how many of each type were sold. All right, there's a whole lot going on in this question, and it's different from the ones we were just doing up here. This one, the sentence was the equation. But when we look at 11, I am not seeing that same kind of sentence. So let's start thinking about, maybe let's define our variables to see if that helps us. So we got x and y. We got small mowers, and we have large mowers. All right, so what are some, I say we've got a 30 total and a total sales. It actually is telling us the two totals, 30 total and total of 8,379. So in my two equations, one of them is going to equal 30 and one of them is going to equal $8,379.70. Now, what's the rest of the equation? Well, this is talking about the total number of mowers that were sold. Well, we have small mowers and we have large mowers. To get the total number, we just count them all up and add them together. So we're going to take our small mowers plus our large mowers, and it's going to equal 30. Now, this other one's equaling money. So if it's equaling money, that's where the money information is going to go in the rest of our equation. We see here that our smaller mower is $249.99. So it's $249.99 times the number of small mowers, plus, and then our bigger mowers are $329.99 times the number of our big mowers. All right, those are some big numbers, but we definitely don't have any opposites when you look at this. So we're going to have to multiply. What's nice about these kinds of equations is you can get away with just multiplying the top equation by either one of these numbers, the negative version of it. I'm just going to use the smaller number even though it's not a very small number, and I'm going to multiply through by negative $249.99. So that gives me When I multiply that, I get negative 249.99x. Good, that's my opposite. Then I have negative 249.99 times y, so I get negative 249.99y equals, and then I'm going to multiply this total out here also, and that's going to give me negative $7,499.70. So you're going to look at these two equations. Notice you have your opposites right here. Follow the signs and finish that one out. All right, let's look at number 16. It's similar to the problem we just did, but it involves money, or the things that we're talking about, and you gotta just be aware of how to write money when we're solving these problems. So we have a collection of dimes and nickels worth a whole $3.30, but we also know that there is 42 coins in all. How many of each kind of coin are there? So I'm going to define our variables. So we have dimes and nickels. So I'm going to say X is dimes and Y is nickels. You could have done this the other way. You'll get the same answer. All right. It's worth $3.30. So that means it equals $3.30. I also know there's 42 coins in all, so I'm going to have an equation that's going to equal the 42 coins. All right, so to get the total number of things that we're talking about, here's our things. How many dimes do we have? Plus how many nickels do we have? Well, it's going to have to be 42 coins total. The other one's talking about money. And notice they didn't mention money in here, but we actually know all about dimes and nickels. We know a dime is worth 10 cents. So 10 cents for a dime, plus 5 cents for a nickel. So to write it as money is 0.05 for a nickel equals $3.30. So we have our two equations. We do not have any opposites, so we're going to have to multiply one of the, in this case it's only the one that has to be multiplied because it's going to be easy to make an opposite. I think I'm actually multiply by 0.10, but this is a positive 0.10, so I'm just going to multiply by negative 0.10 so I can create opposites. Negative 0.10x minus 0.10y equals negative 4.2. So from here, you've made your opposites. You can eliminate the x's and follow this the rest of the way through. Now I got one more I want to do with you. All right, this last one, number 19 on the back, it is the same kind of problem of what we were just doing. It's just the things we're talking about are a little bit different, so I wanted to help you get those set up. So we have Mrs. Wilson, and she tells us the next test is worth 100 points and has 38 problems. That multiple choice questions are worth 2 points each, and word problems are worth 5 points each. How many of each type of question are there? So you have to start this problem off by saying, what are the things that we're talking about? So we got to define our variables. So we got some points here, we got problems here. Oh, look, we have some multiple choice questions and we have word problem questions. So I'm going to say X is multiple choice and Y is going to be our word problems. That way when we get to the end, we know what X equals represents. Okay? All right. So the test is worth 100 points and has 38 problems. Those are some totals that we've got. So we have a total of 38 problems and we have a total of 100 points. So what are the equations that go with those? 38 problems is talking about if I counted up all the types of problems. So I have multiple choice and I have word. When I add those types of problems together, I'll have 38 problems. Now, the other one is talking about the points. So you got to pay attention to the points that are going on. It says multiple choice questions are worth 2 points and word problems are worth 5 points. So there we have our two systems. We do not have opposites. It's easy to make an opposite. We're going to multiply this simpler equation here by, let's go by negative 2 to create a negative 2x, which will be opposite positive 2x. So we'll get negative 2x, negative 2 times y is negative 2y, and negative 2 times 38 is negative 76. Using these two equations, you created opposites right here. They'll cancel. Follow your signs, solve, and then plug in to get the other equation. We will finish these in class. See you there.